Okay, we're here at the JFK Assassination Center with former Deputy Sheriff Al Maddox.
I was Director of Fiscal Affairs and Executive Assistant to be elected.
Okay. And also we're here with the Director, Mr. Larry Howard, and Mr. Malcolm Summers, who himself was an eyewitness on the south side of Elm Street during the Kennedy assassination, and also Mr. Stan Surzan, a JFK Assassination Center researcher from Connecticut. And we're here because the kindness of Mr. Maddox is going to loan and donate some of his material, first-hand material, to the Assassination Center. And we also have a chain. We have an original chain that was used from Mr. Jack Ruby that Mr. Surzan has.
Why are you showing that? How would that be placed on his leg or ankle? Or?
This was on his ankle to make it comfortable.
Okay.
And this one around the bed frame.
Oh, okay. So it's actually chained to
He
the
had
bed?
plenty of room.
Okay.
And this is where the documentation was when the chain was stolen and the car was stolen. The documentation was right on here.
Right on the tag.
This was pitched in a corner a few days after he died. And it laid there till it got rusted, and I picked it up and documented it. That it was chained. Why, I don't know, I just did.
That's nice.
And you're also donating the original mugshot from Jack Ruby.
This is on loan for as long as he wants.
Wow.
And that's what this is. This is the original. I also have pictures that were drawn by Jack Ruby, little doodles, you might call it. It's not really a picture, it's just a drawing. And he did sign this on the back, and it reads, "Best always to a real guy, Jack Ruby." He also drew another one, and I never did get a chance to get him to sign this one. He drew two of these. It took him quite a while to draw these things, and he used, as a straight edge, he wasn't allowed a ruler. He used something like a note, piece of real stiff cardboard or something to make a straight line.
I think I could do that with a T-square.
Yeah. And this is the letter that he had folded and handed to me one day as I left his bedside, and he wrote me a letter.
Why don't you show Mr. Howard how it is?
Okay. You close that. When I shook hands with Jack Ruby, he was sweating. He was wet, and I shook hands with him. I felt this piece of paper in his hand, and when I left, I just took the paper with me because I didn't want anybody to realize that I had taken a note out of the jail. And this part is faded. The part that was next to his hand, from sweating, his hand was real wet. As you unfold this now, after 29 years, you can see the part that's faded from the sweat on his hand. And it's still readable, and he mentions two guys, Lynn Burke and Johnny Crank, who were state liquor control agents at the same time I was. And they too knew Jack Ruby. They knew him a lot better than I did. And they drink his whiskey. This is some doodles that Jack Ruby drew. And this is possibly off of the card that he used. This notepad here was off of a small notepad. And the stiff part, the pasteboard part on the back, I believe is possibly what he used to draw these lines with. Now, someone brought I've given out 2 or 3 copies of this from a copying machine. And Larry tells me that someone brought this copy up here and asked him if he thought this was Jack Ruby's handwriting. Well, I'll promise you, you proved to me that it isn't, and then you've got yourself everything I own. Not much, but it'll carry your feet.
As a matter of fact, when they came up, I went and got some Jack Ruby's letters, and I have contracts to his strippers he signed. And it's no question about it. It's just,
Okay.
why don't you read back on the back what he said about Oswald?
Okay, let's see what he said here. He says, you've known me a long time. You've known the way I've struggled to make my clubs go. Also, Lynn, that's what Lynn Burke, who's now retired and living in Tyler, has known me up to the time that I've gotten into trouble. He knew he was in trouble, at least he was that smart. Says, as a matter of fact, he and Johnny Crank, who's ex-liquor control agent, Johnny Crank's a car dealer in Austin, Texas now, and myself have been out to dinner many times. I am sure they know the kind of person that I am. Says, well, he says, this all adds up to what I'm going to tell you. That I'm being framed for the assassination, that my motive was to silence Oswald. I know you will think I'm crazy, but keep this note for a later date, and it is. It's 29 years later. And you will then know what I'm saying here. Keep your eyes open, and maybe you'll notice some things. I've noticed a bunch of things. I don't know what the hell they are.
It's very amazing.
It's very valuable. At this point in time, I believe that's about it.
All right. We are also here with Mr. Robert Johnson of the Assassination Center, that is the Director of Archives here, and appreciate you being here too. And Mr. Maddox, could you look at these photos right here? Do you have any idea?
This man right here is an FBI agent, I promise you. Because at the time, Buddy told me who he was. Buddy knew him. Buddy Walker. He knew who he was.